Alright, UFC Noche just wrapped up, and man, that main event scoring, we're gonna get into it, as well as Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena. That was also another close decision. We're gonna get into that, and as well as the whole night, what were my thoughts? And yeah, Alexa Grasso retains the belt, but doesn't win the decision. It was a little strange, and I'm gonna talk about it because I do think that this is something that does need to be investigated, and I'm gonna get to my scoring, of course. Before we get into all that, I just want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. We're trying to hit 20K by the end of the year. You guys are the best fan base in MMA, so I truly appreciate all the support, and yeah, this was an amazing event. This was a pay-per-view kind of feel in the T-Mobile Arena, where they usually have pay-per-views. But yeah, even though it was a fight night, there was a title on the line, a dope co-main event, as well as, you know, a featured bout with Raul Rosas Jr. having a phenomenal first-round knockout, which I did not expect. And yeah, perfect bounce back from Raul Rosas Jr. after that loss to Christian Rodriguez back in July. And yeah, that was a pretty bad loss for him, clearly outclassed there. But yeah, he showed that he has the power now. I want to talk about the main event and the scoring. And at the back end, I'm going to talk about Kevin Holland and Jack Della Maddalena. So if you guys are curious about that, I'll talk about it there. But yeah, the main event, it was a little weird with the scoring. I'm not going to lie, guys. Now, I was rooting for Alexa Grasso. I'm not really the biggest Valentina Shevchenko fan. I've talked about this, I think, before on the channel, but I'm just not really for me. And yeah, I picked Alexa Grasso by a close decision, which I was close to. This was a very close decision. I think should have went to Alexa Grasso. We're going to get into that, or went to at least one of them. So my prediction was somewhat correct, but we're going to get into it. All right, so the first round starts. Clear round for Valentina. I don't think there's no argument about that. Most of these rounds are pretty clear except for one. Clear round for Valentina, perfect control. I figured she was going to do well early. I told you guys the grappling would do well, but as the fight progressed, she wasn't going to be able to grapple throughout 5 rounds, right? She isn't, you know, this amazing wrestler. At the end of the day, she's a Muay Thai champion. She isn't used to wrestling, and yes, she has decent wrestling, but she doesn't have that wrestling that she can, you know, go out there for 25 minutes. Like someone like DC or Cain Velasquez, they've been wrestling for a long time. Colby Covington, right? Those guys can go out there and wrestle all day long. But when you're doing something you're not so familiar with, you know, you're gonna get tired more easily, and that's what happened to Valentina. So I don't think that this was as easy as, yeah, Valentina can control her for 25 minutes, right? And that's what we saw here. So the first round I thought went to Valentina, and then the second round, you gotta give it to Alexa Grasso because of that knockdown and those vicious knees to the body, because yes, Valentina had some control time, however, she wasn't doing anything with it really. Then we get to the third round, clearly Valentina with a close guillotine choke. Like, this was giving me some Alexander Volkanovski vibe. The way that she defended it, I thought it was done. I thought she had it locked up, all said and done, but man, you know, Alexa Grasso toughed it out. Must have hurt. You could tell it kind of hurt her. Those chokes are not fun, even if it's not under the chin, and even if you are able to breathe, they're usually very painful. Usually the squeeze is very hard. I'm sure any of you guys know if you guys ever taken a jiu-jitsu class. Valentina clearly won that round, and the fourth round was very close, and I think this is the deciding round. If you're gonna give it to anybody, you gotta give it on round 4. I gave it to Alexa Grasso. It was very close. It was very close. I thought Alexa landed some good shots. I thought Valentina landed some good shots, but I think what got me at the end was when Alexa had that heel hook submission. It was deep. Don't know if she would have gotten it. Probably Valentina would have been able to escape out of that. Those are usually pretty easy to escape. And not to give no credit to Alexa Grasso, they're just hard to get. You don't really see that many times in MMA for a reason, right? So yeah, round 4 I thought went to Alexa Grasso. 2-2 going into the 5th, and you gotta give the 5th to Alexa Grasso. It was close though. She was losing the beginning of that round. I thought around halfway through the round, I was like, damn, Valentina won this. She's using the jab. She's doing very well on the feet, something I didn't expect. So I thought Valentina did a lot better on the feet this fight than she did in the last fight. But yeah, she goes for a takedown, and Alexa just gets her back, and that was very great of Alexa. You know, a lot of people get the back, they'll just sit there, chill. You want to get some damage across. You need to win this round. This is a championship fight. The last 2 minutes or so of your fight, stamp a good end to the round and get that round. So very high fight IQ from Alexa Grasso to, you know, throw those shots to the ear of Valentina Shevchenko, just getting ground and pound, keeping control for those 2 minutes, because that's what won her the round. You can't argue about round 5. Now we get to the judges' scorecard. One gave it to Valentina, one gave it to Alexa, and one judge gave it a draw. What is going on? A draw? This makes absolutely no sense. You cannot get a draw out of this result. How did this happen? Round 5, Mike Bell gave it a 10-8 to Alexa Grasso and didn't give her round 4. Now listen, guys, if Valentina Shevchenko won, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have thought it was a wrong decision. Maybe you guys disagree, but I would have thought it would have just been a very close round. And yes, I can see you giving it to Valentina. It was extremely close, but honestly, Mike Bell should have given that a 10-9, and yeah, should have gave Valentina Shevchenko the victory. However, I do think Alexa Grasso deserved to win, and it's just frustrating, this result, because listen, I think that Alexa Grasso should have been given that 4th round, and it just sucks that we're in this draw, because now what do we do? Do we do a trilogy? Does anybody want to see Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2? I don't want to see this fight. Neither fight were exactly like barn burners. They weren't terrible, but none of them were like, oh my god, this is insane, like the Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo quadrilogy was. All those fights were bangers, except for maybe the 4th one, which is a little iffy. And these fights are not bangers, and Valentina could very well go in there and win that 3rd fight. Then what happens next? Are we going to see a quadrilogy? I don't want to see a trilogy, let alone a quadrilogy. But it kind of makes sense because you got Manon Fiorot and Aaron Blanchfield both coming off very good wins, coming off good win streaks, both deserving of a title shot. And it would make sense, I guess, for them two to fight, I guess, maybe in a fight night main event sometime. Maybe, you know, in the next couple months. And then you get that trilogy going, and then the winners of those 2 fights fight each other. That would make sense. I guess it makes sense with the, you know, the whole state of the flyweight division, and I'm probably guessing that's what they're going to do. I think they like Valentina as a champ. she's definitely one of the more popular female fighters on the roster right now. But yeah, I guess they're probably gonna wind up doing the trilogy. I'm not so excited. Probably gonna be like a co-main event to a pay-per-view, unless they're gonna go back to Mexico, which they did reveal they're gonna go back to Mexico in 2024. Maybe they do it early in the year, have the fight actually in Mexico like it should have been, maybe at Brandon Moreno as a co-main event or something like that, and build an amazing card for the Mexican fans. Like, they should have went to Mexico for this card. It's ridiculous. I've said this for months and months, but the main thing about this all is it's so weird, right? Like, there is a bigger story in all this, especially with last year with the whole betting situation and that getting all sorted out. It's weird to me that a round that is clearly not a 10-8 is now scored a 10-8, and that round decides if a new champion is made or not. Like, what is going on here? Like, to me, it seems like the only obvious thing is that this guy wanted Alexa Grasso to win. Now, there's a lot of other things you could say, but that's just the most reasonable assumption. Like, some people have said and accused the UFC of maybe pressuring judges for certain decisions. Now, I've never believed this, nor am I accusing them of this. However, this would certainly be a really good piece of evidence to use to say, hey, that there is a judging problem, right? Like, this is insane to me. This round is clearly not a 10-8. Like, you cannot score this. This isn't even a bad scoring. It's wrong. It's ridiculous. And to me, I wonder if that judge looked at that 10-9 and said, hey, Shevchenko's gonna win this. Let me make it a draw and deduct one more point to make it a 10-8. I mean, I think round 2 is more of a 10-8. There were rounds where Valentina had Alexa's back. Why weren't those 10-8s? There's a lot of questions. This is why we need to hear from these judges after these major decisions. But Alexa Grasso, I thought, did fairly well, and I thought Valentina did well. So I think that both fighters really showed that they definitely both improved since the last fight, and I'm curious to see how trilogy goes, I guess. But I don't know, man. I don't know who I think is going to win that one, because Valentina, like I said, made a lot of good improvements, but so did Alexa, and Alexa still had the problem of getting taken down, getting some control time, and, you know, I think Valentina did a lot better of not just shooting double leg takedowns, but getting takedowns off the fence, switching angles, and getting Alexa Grasso to get taken down that way. That's how you're going to take down Alexa Grasso, someone that's been probably studying wrestling since the last fight. She's probably been studying a lot of, you know, double legs, single legs, and simple takedowns. I said this about another fight recently, you know, get them with weirder takedowns, and you'll do a lot better taking them down, because yes, they might be practicing double legs and single legs, but more unorthodox, you know, takedown. That might be new for them. So if I'm Valentina Shevchenko, I'm training more of those, coming up with more of those. And if I'm Alexa Grasso, I'm learning some of the takedowns that she got me with, preparing for the next one, learning some more takedowns of her own so she's more experienced. I think that's what's going to make a difference in the fight. And I also just didn't think Alexa Grasso was active enough. Alexa Grasso has that problem in other fights, and that was one of the reasons why I was kind of iffy on picking Alexa Grasso, is because she just stands there with her hands up. And yes, that's good for boxing, and even not for boxing, honestly, because she would probably get pieced up in boxing like that too. But she has a very boxing stance and really just uses boxing, rarely kicks. I think she's got to mix it up a little bit more, throw some more. I like that she shot some takedowns, trying to mix it up that way. But yeah, I think Alexa Grasso, you know, has to be a little more active next time around. Both girls, you know, I thought Valentina did a lot better at being more active this fight than she did the last fight. I feel like that was one of her major problems in the last fight. She was a lot more active. It was good. And wow, how close also was Alexa Grasso to submitting Valentina Shevchenko in that 5th round, by the way. Alexa Grasso's jiu-jitsu has improved quite a lot. Very aggressive jiu-jitsu, throwing shots off her back. Like, at one point, Valentina was covering up because Alexa Grasso was punching her on her back. So yeah, very impressive. But now I want to talk about the co-main event for a little bit. Kevin Holland, JDM. I picked JDM to win by TKO in the 3rd round. Didn't happen. It wound up being a very close decision, and Kevin Holland did a lot better than I thought, or maybe Jack Della Maddalena did a lot worse than I thought, to be honest. I thought Jack Della Maddalena was going to be able to get into the pocket a little bit better after reading some shots, and it just seemed like JDM wasn't willing to commit, and that might be because of the power of Kevin Holland. We know Kevin Holland hits hard. Look at the dudes he's knocked out in middleweight and welterweight. Kevin is a longer guy, one of the longer guys that JDM has probably ever fought. It's hard to get on the inside with a guy like that. So maybe he just wasn't used to that, but I thought JDM was going to be able to do that a little bit more. It was close. I gave round 1 to JDM, round 2 to Kevin Holland, and round 3, the deciding round, I gave it to JDM. I think you got to give that one to JDM. I think if you're going to argue any round, maybe round 1, because that was a really close round. But yeah, I saw scorecards all over the place. It was a close fight. However, I think the right decision was given to JDM. I can see a Kevin Holland decision, but I think you got to give it to JDM. I think he had a clear 3rd round. But yeah, that was UFC Noche. Good event. A lot of great fights. I'm going to probably be doing a short talking about the whole Daniel Lacerda situation that happened on the prelims. So go check into my shorts because it's probably out already. Thank you guys for watching, guys. The best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.